that'll be the focal point early on. At the same time, Ryan's very good at running the football when he has to. And I think when you're a senior quarterback, you pick and choose when to try to scramble and try to get some extra yards, and hopefully get smart enough to get him.
Applin was named preseason Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year, the reigning Offensive Player of the Year. But talk about Ryan, the young man, what kind of high character he is.
Well, he's a super person. There's no doubt. He's a leader for our team. He's a leader for our university. He's the type of kid that you'd want your daughter to marry. I've got a chance to coach a guy named Paul Smith at Tulsa. First year is at Tulsa, and those two are very similar as far as the type of person they are and the ability they have.
You lost a lot of players on the defense and offensive line. Can you tell us about some of the recruits you had from them to maybe contribute right away?
Well, we are going to be asking, first of all, let's say the defense we do. We have 2 or 3 guys that actually played last year. So there's a lot of holes open. We're going to be asking some of our guys to come back. We signed some junior college guys. Eddie Porter comes to mind at linebacker, a guy that we feel like can help us immediately. But really, to be honest with you, it's open game. I mean, we've got our idea about 2 deep going in. The positions are open, and we'll be learning as we go once fall camp starts.
What about the offensive line? Michael Flint, can he play any time this year?
Michael Flint could possibly get some time. But as you said, we lost 3 starters on the offensive line, and that is a big concern. We'll be mixing and matching early in fall camp with some of those true freshmen and some of the guys that were backups last year. So we'll probably in the first 2 weeks of fall camp, we'll need to make decisions on offensively and defensively about who we're going to do.
What's the tone you take going into August? I know in the spring it was more or less about getting them acclimated was the key word you used. What's the tone, what's the tenor going to be when you get them in and start to get
Well, we've got 2 weeks to really decide our pecking order and start trying to get guys with the first group. And so the first 2 weeks, we're going to give everybody a chance, including these young guys that we feel have a chance to help us. And in that week 3, we'll be going with what we got and trying to get those guys ready for Oregon.
Preseason poll came out. What's your take on that? I know ASU picked to finish second by the coaches.
Yeah, I think a lot of that probably has to do with the fact they won it last year. They won 10 games. I mean, if you look, in all fairness, we lost most of our defense and we lost a lot of our offensive linemen. I mean, we do have, one of the better quarterbacks in the country, in my opinion. We've got 3 senior receivers that are all very talented. So we have some skill guys at the same time, and we have a lot of holes to fill. But we're going to be young. We'll be young with experience.
Is that kind of a way to temper excitement? There's been a lot around Jones Brothers. Obviously, been a lot made about the hire. Do you feel like having it be a second place finish kind of tempers things a little bit? Kind of actually opens the door for having some frank discussion.
Well, I mean, we want to have high expectations. I mean, this league's outstanding. I mean, it's very, very tough. You guys that have been covering know that. Just me looking in, being here new, I mean, there's not any gimmies on that schedule. But our expectations are high, and we're hoping to do well.
Your name has been mentioned for some more, I guess, high-profile jobs in recent years. Why was Arkansas State the good fit for you?
Well, I think it's all about timing, and a lot of those situations where we were in the middle of trying to win the national championship, the timing wasn't right. And this past year, I started really getting head coaching edge, and the fact that I get a chance to come back home to Arkansas, where I coached for 15 years of high school football. They won 10 games last year, so it's a program that you can win at. And then the fact that I know just about every head coach in the state of Arkansas, my best friends, so I feel like I can recruit there. So those factors, it's a real comfortable situation for me as far as the atmosphere in the state, and I really think we can build something special in the future.
From talking to the players, everybody talks about the off-season conditioning program, that they're in the best shape of their lives. Talk a little bit about the emphasis you wanted to see in that area, and talk about your thoughts of that.
Well, we're a no-huddle team, not just offense. Defense, special teams, we want to play with great pace. We really strive to be in a different kind of shape, and so that's part of our philosophy, and our guys have bought into it so far.
How much does that pace really matter in this conference? Barry, from ULM, everybody's plays spread here. Everybody kind of plays a wide open game. Teams are used to going fast here. How do you sort of, in a league where that's sort of the norm, making an advantage for yourself?
Well, when you talk about pace, there's different kinds of pace. I mean, we're trying to go at a 2-minute pace the entire game. We're not changing gears and all that. I mean, we're trying to fly around like our hair is on fire. And I think there's a great advantage in college football if you can execute at a fast pace. So we hang our hat on that, and that's what we believe in.
You mentioned Ryan's one of the things this year. Obviously, maybe a couple years before the read option things. There wasn't a slightly mobile quarterback. Do you look at design situations, or is it a situation where you want to protect that asset?
Well, I think you want to, you definitely want to protect them. And like I said earlier, you got to pick and choose. And at the same time, we got to develop a number 2 backup that we feel great about. And the more we feel better about that, the more you're apt to run him. But he will be doing some read zone. There's no doubt. We've been very fortunate to have some quarterbacks that weren't perceived as runners, pure runners, that were good at operating the read zone. And so, I feel like he'll definitely do that.
Coach, with all the realignment going on, what's your thoughts on these 2 teams coming in, Georgia State and Texas State?
Really, to be honest, I don't know that much about them. I know they got 2 outstanding veteran coaches that'll do well, but I really don't know that much about them. We went to every high school in the state of Arkansas, even some of them that did play football. How about that? But our goal is to recruit the state of Arkansas like it's never been before. And we want to give everybody ownership. We're trying to make Jonesboro a statewide program. And so we just want to give everybody ownership and let them know how serious we are. Well, the head coaches can't go out. That's right. So I had to sit back and listen to the coach, but I tell you what, great response. A lot of our coaches are from the state of Arkansas. A lot of them are former high school coaches, so it's a really good fit right now. Well, we had some that did play football, and this year they're not because of numbers, but they could have. They could have amateur and junior high programs. But at the same time, we're trying to identify young guys. And we're big believers in the state of Arkansas that there's great coaches and great players out there. So that's the plan.
Talk about no problem. You came in and said this is going to be what does that mean?
Well, I really feel like we're built to success. I've always been a dreamer, and that may sound crazy to a lot of people, but I really believe that if we can fast forward 2, 3, 4 years, we'd have a chance to really do something special because of the area that we can recruit, the commitment that the school's made, and then the staff we're putting together.
Talk about the reception you had around the state when you did visit 15 cities in 5 days, the head of state or in 3 days. Talk about the reception you received there.
Well, you can really tell there's a lot of Razorback fans, around the state, obviously, but you can tell there's a lot of people that are rooting for both and really want to see us do something. And the advantage probably I have, I'm very familiar with a lot of those people, so that made it a little bit easier. At the same time, we want to do the same thing, reach out to the people and get out there and make it more of a statewide program.
Coach, for the first time in a long time, A-State, in terms of Sun Belt terms, kind of have the target on the back. How's this team just trying to embrace it?
Well, the fact they won the conference last year, there's no doubt. We got our work cut out for us. There's no way we're sneaking up on anybody. So we get that, and that's part of the deal. And we're going to have to play well every week to have a chance to win this league.
You talked about developing running back depth. You get David Oko a couple weeks ago. Can you kind of talk about how that came about and what you think he brings in? He's got talent, but has not played in 18 months. And you've got Frank Hughes coming off some injuries last year. It's a mix thing. Can you talk about how David fits in that?
Yeah, of course, I recruited David when I was at Auburn, and it went down between us and Tennessee. And, we played him that first year and talked to him right after the game. And, so it's pretty neat that I get a chance to coach him. He's a phenomenal player. He's got a lot of skills. He's a great returner. You can do a lot of things with him. He's a smart kid, and he catches the ball in the backfield. And then, of course, Frank, we really feel like the sky's the limit. He needs just more experience, but he is a very talented running back. He's got a lot of skills. Yeah. Well, youth and experience definitely concerns me. We don't know what we're going to get. We open up against Oregon. That's a huge challenge. It looks like a video game when you watch them on film. So we'll need to grow up in a hurry. But we do feel like we got some talented, young, and experienced kids. So it's good for the future.